Oh, hey there. I have a lot of time today, so I'm gonna rank every NPC in Dark Souls 1 from worst to best. Let's get right into it. First, let's talk about the F tier, and I'm gonna talk about all three of these bozos at once. Nico, Vince, and Petrus of Thorland are by far the worst NPCs in the game. At least Petrus will sell you some miracles, but he's also the person who kills Rhea. Nico and Vince, they might be the worst bodyguards ever. They couldn't even protect Rhea from patches, and they went hollow themselves in the Giant's Tomb. These three are by far the worst NPCs in the game, and they are the only ones I have in F tier. Kicking off the E tier and the first merchant on this list is the female undead merchant. She is incredibly rude if you attack her, even by accident, and she doesn't even sell anything crazy. The best thing she sells is a homeward bone and maybe a purging stone. She's also out of the way from the main path, and all the stuff she sells you can get from other places in abundance. Shiva of the East looks super cool, but let's be honest, everyone just kills him for the Mirakumo. The weapon is really strong, and yes, Shiva will sell you stuff later in the game, but you only miss out on claws and the washing pole, which if you really want them, you can buy them, then kill him for the Mirakumo. King Jeremiah is, I'll be honest, I don't know what this guy is wearing. Like, how is he holding his head up with a giant cloth way above him? He also can only be found in the painted world of Ariamis, which is a completely optional area, and I just can't really get over this headpiece. Like, what is this thing, man? Is his head at the top of the hat where it should be, and he just has the extended part as a decoration? I don't know, and I don't care. E tier. The Crestfallen merchant is definitely one of the worst merchants in the game, but he does sell the Katarina armor set, which instantly gives him a ton of points in the swag department. But the drip he has on himself is super lackluster. He's super out of the way, but he does give you Titanite and black fire bombs, so while you're passing by, you might as well stop to shop. Nito is next, and like the everlasting dragon, he kind of just sits in his coffin and gives you super niche covenant rewards. Getting to him is the worst, having to sit in this coffin for what feels like forever just to get pushed down to talk to him for the first time. And as far as covenants go, he might be the worst. The witch Beatrice is at the top of my E tier, and she's only useful to beat the Moonlight Butterfly, which she can solo. But I mean, do you really need her to beat the Moonlight Butterfly? You can also summon her for the Four Kings fight as well, which is slightly more useful, but still not necessary by any means. She does have some cool lore though, being one of the 3 people to walk the abyss, but other than that, nothing to write home about. Ingi starts out the D tier, and he's a very loyal servant to the Chaos Daughter, who saved his life, even though he ended up looking like, well, you know. He specializes in poison pyromancies, but to get him to sell them to you, you have to infect yourself and become an egghead, which isn't the worst because he will cure it, but it's annoying nonetheless. Dusk is constantly in danger, and if it wasn't for her leading you to the DLC, she probably would be lower on this list. You have to save her from a golem after defeating a Hydra, and even after that, you have to be careful or the golems on the beach will come over and kill her. And when you go into the DLC, guess who needs to be saved again? You guessed it, Dusk. Her crown is cool if you're using magic, but other than that, I'm totally okay with keeping this damsel in distress. Rickard is by far the most useless blacksmith in Dark Souls 1. He's easy to access, sure, but he doesn't sell anything good, and you can't upgrade your weapons unless you want it to be infused with magic. You can't get his armor, and he was dumb enough to get himself trapped in a cell with no way out. Definitely one of the biggest bozos in Dark Souls. Knight Kirk is another obnoxious NPC, which is the case for pretty much every NPC that invades you in Dark Souls 1. He invades you at 3 different locations just to be a nuisance, and he doesn't even give you anything good. I mean, yeah, you can get his armor after beating him 3 times, but who wants to look like a pincushion walking around? Not a chill guy and doesn't even look cool, so he's in the D tier. The Undead Merchant has some cool items, and he is definitely a chill guy, but his biggest use after getting the bottomless box is dying. He gives you a katana, which is super cool, the residence key for free, and the orange soapstone so you can write super unique messages like nice chest ahead. Snuggly is really cool and all, but all you get from this mysterious bird is different forms of Titanite and the Ring of Sacrifice. He does give you an extra ring of favor and protection if you end up breaking the original one, but outside of that, his iconic he's not great, but he's a fan favorite, so he makes it into the D tier. Paladin Leroy is a bit of a Giga Chad, though the boss you summon for him is not exactly difficult. He can beat Pinwheel in 2 to 3 hits, which you definitely don't need him to do, but it's cool that he can. He looks interesting too with his armor and unique weapon, but outside of this, he doesn't really have any use, so that's why he's so low on this list. Mildred is next, and she's a staple in the series, but is super annoying to deal with. Mostly because you fight her in Blighttown, but at least she'll help you fight Quelaag after you kill her. She also has a pretty cool outfit on for what it is, since it's 3 strands of fabric and a bag over her head. Elizabeth is literally just a mushroom, and she tells you to help Dusk because apparently we haven't done that enough already, and she sells what Dusk sells, which, spoiler alert, is nothing. I mean, at least a talking mushroom is cool, but she's not even worth stopping to talk to. Griggs of Vinheim is the We Have Big Hat Logan at home version of a sorcerer. Sure, he has great rings for sorceries, but the spells he teaches you aren't great, and he looks really goofy. Yeah, Logan is his master, but you would think the apprentice of someone with so much drip would at least look cool even if they weren't as good with magic. The Everlasting Dragon is one of the most annoying NPCs NPCs in the game. He's super far out of the way, and collecting his Covenant rewards isn't worth the time it takes to farm the Covenant item. He also just sits there, not moving, and being a weirdo, honestly. So he's stuck in D tier. The most useless Firekeeper is by far Anastasia, and she's next up on the list. She'll improve your orange juice, but considering there are many other NPCs that can do the same thing, it kind of makes her obsolete. She's not even the easiest of these NPCs to get to, since the Daughter of Chaos exists, and as far as Firekeepers go, she might be the worst. Alvina is the last NPC in D tier, and the only, and I mean only reason she is here is because she is a cat. She is genuinely useless in terms of being an NPC, and honestly is a bit scary with her teeth. If she wasn't a cat, I was gonna put her in F tier. Chester is first up in the C tier, and he's a dripped out merchant in the DLC. And while he sells stuff that is normally not easy to grab, he upcharges you a lot on his stock, which is very base of him considering he's the only merchant around at that time. Still, that upcharge deserves him a spot in C tier. Rhea of Thorland is the only good NPC of the Thorland gang strictly because she sells miracles. Other than that, she's incredibly useless, constantly needing help in her quest. Even though she has bodyguards to guide her on her journey, she doesn't even look cool, and honestly is the definition of a mid NPC. Darkmoon Nightess has one of the coolest armor sets in the series. She's also a parrying machine, and constantly uses her parrying dagger on you whenever you attack, just so she can disrespect you with a riposte. She's pretty chill until you decide to kill Guinevere or Gwendolyn, and then she will rock your world. Harkus is an absolute beast of an NPC. You can summon him to straight up beat the Iron Golem by himself. He also wields a giant sword and shield with super heavy armor made of iron, and yet somehow he still chugs along like he's wearing nothing. Super cool, super swaggy. I just wish you could actually talk to him and he wasn't just a summon. Bailana is another pyromancer, and while she is a better pyromancer than Laurentius, she is sitting at the bottom of Blighttown. And who wants to voluntarily be in Blighttown? She's the sister to Quelaag and the Daughter of Chaos, and it looks like she has the default mage robes on from Skyrim. I would argue she has no swag at all. Vamos is definitely the scariest blacksmith, especially since his cutscene makes it feel like you're about to fight a boss just for him to use his pickaxe to break down a wall. For a skeleton, he looks ridiculous, and he's super far out of the way of everything, so he doesn't have a ton of usefulness. Inkboard is wrapping up my C tier, and he honestly is a bit obnoxious. He holds the key to the seal, which you're supposed to get after receiving the Lord Vessel, but if you're anything like me, you probably just kill him instead of having to go through the Church of Ghosts. He's not the best looking in terms of swag, but he will at least cure your curses if you have one. Kicking off my B tier is Gwendolyn, and he is, well, he's the brother of Guinevere and a great sorcerer. He seems like a good guy and is a leader of the Darkmoon Covenant, which does give you some cool stuff, but he seems a little weird in the fact that he secludes himself in a super long hallway where nobody can even reach him. He also makes an illusion of his sister so he can see her whenever he wants. I'm sure he's a good guy, but the way he acts is a little questionable. Donald of Zena is the best merchant in the game. He sells incredibly cool boss armors and the master key if you didn't already have one for some reason. And on top of that, you can tell he's a very refined collector with his little bitty glasses on. He's definitely a bit of a nerd, but he's still incredibly cool. Haran is also an NPC in D tier, and she's definitely a badass. She's one of the 4 knights and a Lord of Cinder, so she can and will kick your ass. I mean, who doesn't like a character who wields 2 curved swords? And she's wearing one of the coolest outfits in the series. I mean, what is there not to love about her? Big Hat Logan is another interesting individual, because I don't know what it is with people who are incredibly intelligent and getting stuck, but it's kind of impressive. What's even more impressive is he doesn't get stuck once, but twice, which is insane since he's the most knowledgeable sorcerer in Dark Souls 1, and he certainly lives up to his name with the biggest hat I've ever seen in my life. Laurentius is interesting. I mean, how do you get stuck in a barrel as a pyromancer? To be fair, he doesn't know the most advanced pyromancies, but will give you a hand in upgrading your pyromancy flame to plus 15. He does look cool though, and looks exactly how a pyromancer should look. Someone more interesting is Guinevere. She gives you the most useful item in the game and has the most important chest in Dark Souls history. She doesn't do much but sit there, and if you kill her, you can't absolve your sin with Oswald, and everyone in Anor Londo will be pissed at you for a good reason. The Daughter of Chaos also resides in the B tier. She's not incredibly useful, but she will give you stronger orange juice if you bring her a Firekeeper soul, and you can pledge your allegiance to her and join her covenant if you're into that. She also can't hold a conversation unless you have the old witch's ring on, so she can be somewhat boring to be around. The Crestfallen Warrior is the first guy you meet outside of the Undead Asylum, and he's a nice guy offering you advice as soon as he meets you. He's constantly giving you tips about repairing your weapons, dealing with curses, restoring your humanity, or even just where you should go. Don't mess with him though, because he is a seasoned vet and will make Firelink Shrine way less of a safe haven. Without Oswald, we wouldn't have nearly as much freedom to do as we want playing this game. He is a saint absolving us of our sins so we can take out our aggressions on those NPCs that maybe looked at you the wrong way, or simply just changing covenants and not having to worry about the consequences of quest lines or loyalties. He's a bit pretentious, but he's still a nice guy. Sif is one of the very few bosses who is also an NPC. His boss fight is rough not because it's difficult, but because it's difficult to want to put him down, especially if you free his NPC version before doing his boss fight. After fighting Manus with him and seeing this incredibly sad cutscene, you know he's just a good boy wanting a master, but we need that ring, so B tier. Framped is cool and has a super unique mechanic and kicks off my A tier. You can feed him items, which is a mechanic not seen in any other Dark Souls game. He is the one who is supposed to lead you to reignite the flame, and he's a nice nice guy, not caring too much if you hit him once or twice. His biggest downside is his horrible breath. Yes, this is canon. Koth is one of the few primordial serpents in the world of Dark Souls, and he allows you to join the Dark Wraith Covenant, which is by far the coolest covenant in the game. Also, if you side with him, you get the best ending in Dark Souls 1, along with him being the cooler older brother of Frampt. Lotric is certainly unique, and honestly might be one of the most unique NPCs in Dark Souls history. We find this guy in jail, but he seems like a nice enough guy to free him, so we do that, and the reward is he kills my Firekeeper at the Firelink Shrine. What kind of reward is that? And if you try to fight him, he's liable to kick your ass. But if you kick him off the ledge into the abyss, you unlock one of the best rings in Dark Souls 1, the Ring of Favor and Protection. Or if you wait, he gives you the opportunity to invade him and take back the Firekeeper's soul, which is honestly a really cool mechanic. The giant blacksmith is a great blacksmith and an even better guy. He is super cool, kind, and has a lot of swag for someone who's so big. He also transforms your boss souls into weapons, which nobody else can do. He does drop a hammer if you kill him, but let's be honest, who is killing this guy? Maybe the least useful NPC, however, is Patches. I mean, this guy's obsession with kicking people into holes is insane. He's like a living, breathing troll as an NPC, and he does it insanely well. While you certainly don't love Patches, it's definitely hard to hate him. Hawkeye Go is a close contender in usefulness though. He's just hanging around chilling, waiting for an excuse to shoot his bow. And when you give him that excuse, he delivers like nobody else, shooting down Calamite from the sky, making it infinitely easier to slay this dragon. The most important NPC by far in Dark Souls is Oscar of Astora. This dude not only saves you from eternal life as a hollow, he then gives you 5 Estus flasks, which is insanely generous given how scarce they are. And on top of all of this, he gives you the key to escape the asylum and not rot away as a hollow, which no other NPC is doing for you in any of the games. Finishing the A tier, of course, is Andre, the blacksmith you are most likely to encounter first and by far the most useful one. Andre has a ton of charm, and if you wrong him, he's not afraid to drop kick you in the chest either. He's always wishing for your well-being, and he'll give you the Crest of Artorias, which opens up arguably the best shortcut in the game. Finishing off the list is the elite of the elite, the S tier. This tier is reserved for these 3 NPCs only. Now, I may be a little bit biased putting Sigmar and Sieglin in S tier, but Sigmar is one of the OG Onion Bros, and as a Katarina Knight is a staple of the entire franchise. Yeah, he may not be the strongest knight ever to fight and needs a lot of help, but his questline is super cool, and it's how you meet his daughter Sieglin, who is a total badass. I mean, think about it, she makes it all the way from the Duke's Archive to Firelink Shrine down to Ash Lake in one life just to find her dad. She basically went through the entirety of the game without dying. It's a bit tragic that her reward is finding her father dead, but she is probably the strongest NPC in the game. And to no surprise, Solaire is the best NPC in Dark Souls. He has his own in-depth questline that gives you a completely different ending to the game, and he has one of the most jolly and best voices of the entire series, and all around is just a chill dude looking for his own son. Yep, that was all of them ranked. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like. Bye!